What's good, guys? It is your host, Mr. Ghost, with the Real Talk Podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing the government shutdown again, going into a 14th vote. We're going to be looking at what Mr. Fetterman had to say, what Mr. Mullen had to say, and I'll give you my concise on it. Let me know down below your take on the government shutdown. Who do you truly blame? Is it the left? Is it the right? I want to hear from you guys, my audience. Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, hit that like button. Let's roll.
So just a short time ago, we had the 14th vote to reopen the government, failing once again in the Senate. It's not funny, but it is getting ridiculous in some ways here. It is the longest government shutdown ever. A lot of places suffering. You just saw Sean Duffy's take on what's going on at the airports. And once again, lawmakers reached across the aisle. The independents, Angus King, Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. He says that the shutdown is, quote, wrong, and that he believes his party just needs to own it. I spoke with him just moments ago. Watch. What do you see in terms of the future of this shutdown? Do you think that we're getting close? Do you think it's going to happen after the election? There'll be a resolution?
Well, what I'm saying is that it's not so much as of a blame. I think it's more about what's driving it and who's driving it and who is withholding their votes and are about opening or keeping our government closed. I've been a part of one of three, as you pointed out, and that means we need five more. So for me, that's where we are. And I agree that it's a bad idea to shut our government down. It was wrong if the Republicans would do this as they've done, and it's wrong now as we are doing it this right now. So for me, that is a country over party situation. And now 42 million Americans now are in food insecurity, and all of the unions that are being directly hit by this, and they all have been calling this needs to end. And that's where I'm at. And America's fly system, now that's now been impacted. I fly every week, and I can see more and more delays and cancelings right there on the boards. So why would we want to mess with this now? We're just a couple weeks away from Thanksgiving. I think we've reached the point now. This really has to end, and it's not about the blame or who's going to blink. Right now, I think this thing, it's entirely appropriate, has to end.
Now, after listening to Mr. Fetterman, you can fully agree it should be country above party. And there are two others that voted the same way he did, country above party. It should always be that way, regardless what political spectrum you're on. Now, with that being said, many Americans don't realize that in order for things to pass in the Senate, it takes 60 votes. It's not a majority like how it is in the House of Representatives. It should always be a certain amount from both sides to come to an agreement to get something passed. Because you don't want the majority in both House and Senate. Because then one party over the other can just streamline their policies of what they want put into place. Now, regardless if you're Republican or Democrat, nobody really wants that. But we notice that the Democratic Party obviously might be doing this simply because they want to win elections. They want to hold Americans hostage. Because you're going to hear from another fellow representative of ours, Mr. Mullen, and his take on it, what he's heard from behind the scenes. And that is pretty scary. Because if it is true, that means that Democrats are holding Americans hostage to win elections. And that's not good for this country. Because we are the people, and the government shall work for us. And I honestly think we should take away pay for Congress if they want to shut down the government. Because this has never happened before 1980. This is an embarrassment. Let's go see what he has to say.
Economist YouGov poll, a majority, 52%, disapprove of the way Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is handling his job. Let's bring in Republican Senator Markwayne Mullen. It's great to see you again, Senator. What's going on here? I mean, this is the same Biden-level spending that the Democrats voted for 14 times and Chuck Schumer voted for in March. Show the Pew poll, 75% of majority Americans don't like the Democrats. They're mad at them. They're frustrated. 67% of Democrats say that, too.
Well, Liz, it's pretty clear right now what the Democrats are doing with this government shutdown. I mean, they have made it over and overly abundantly clear. You have Chris Coons, you have Bernie Sanders, you have Kathleen Clark, the number 2 Democrat in the House, that all said that, this is the only leverage point they have. You have Bernie Sanders that says each day not Bernie Sanders, I'm sorry. You have Chuck Schumer saying each day that this only gets better for them. So it's all been about politics. We've known that. We've known that going up to this. We thought that they would possibly reopen it after the No Kings rally. That didn't work because they felt quote, came from the Senate Democrat that said, quote, we feel like now after the No Kings rally, our neck is simply in a guillotine. And now they got to wait until after the election. Last week, Liz, I know Dick Durbin wanted to break with the Democrats and reopen the government. Chuck Schumer, in a private meeting with other Democrat senators, said that if you'll just wait till after the election, I'll release the handcuffs. I added the handcuff part, but basically I'm paraphrasing what he said. The reason why is because they're afraid their base wouldn't show up today in Virginia, New Jersey, and in New York. So it's been about politics. It's never been about policy. It's been about holding the American people as leverage points, regardless of the damage they cause to the livelihood of these individuals. But elections are more important than the Dems because why? They know their polls is at the very bottom than it's ever been for the Democrat Party, and it's shameful what they're doing.
Well, you just said it. So they basically leverage pain and suffering for Americans because they were afraid their voter base would not turn out for the elections in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia tonight. I mean, that's really political malpractice. It's beyond that. It's immoral because people are not getting paid. Soldiers, air traffic controllers, the TSA. So this is the message. This is socialism and shutdowns. Neither work. Both hurt Americans. But Senate Majority Leader, and do you think that other senator, like Senate Majority Leader John Thune, he's thinking the shutdown will end this week? Could it end this week? Because we're seeing this bipartisan push we're hearing about from House lawmakers to extend the Obamacare and enhanced tax credits. It includes a sunset period and income cap for high earners. They let millionaires onto Obamacare. Do you think that could happen? What do you think?
Well, we're not negotiating with them. We said we will open the government, and we'd be happy to, and then have these discussions. So that's not part of the discussion. What will happen is we will open the government back up. The Senate's going to take the vote. Probably it could be Thursday or Friday. But now we're going to have to make some changes to the clean CR. One change is we got to change the date. November 21st isn't going to work. We can't do that. What that date is, it could go into January. It could go to December 19th. Plus, we're looking at possibly adding 3 appropriation bills that have already been voted on and have been somewhat what we call a small conference between both chambers. So we could add those to it, and then the House has got to come back and decide if they're going to do the 72-hour wait, or if they're going to pick up the bill for the CR and immediately proceed to the next date that we have scheduled on it. So I feel like we're open by the weekend, by the time we get into next week. And I really do feel comfortable about that. The Democrats have been promised that they could release the handcuffs, but you still have to deal with a Democrat Party that's more focused on communism and crime and insanity than they are about actually leading the American people with good, sound policy. Everything they're doing with the leadership of Chucky Schumer is simply making political decisions that is pandering to their base. And it's absolutely crazy at how far left this party has went. You thought when it was underneath.
So after watching with what Mr. Millen had to say, and if it is true that the Democrats had a backdoor meeting on when to reopen the government after the elections, and it's very clear that they held American people hostage in order to grab some kind of leverage during a year of an election, would not surprise me because most people blame the party in charge when the government shuts down, not realizing the context of how our government functions. Okay, in the House of Representatives, a majority vote gets the bill passed. But that's where it goes to the Senate, in which is a little bit different. You actually need 10 from the other party to side with your side in order to get the law passed. So for anything to pass, you need 60 votes. I know Trump is calling for the filibuster to be removed. Majority should vote and get things passed. And I know for Trump's policies, what he wants to do for this country would be beneficial. But the problem with that is we really don't want that because it removes the checks and balances within our government. We want to be able to hold our elected officials accountable. We want them to be able to work together on policy that benefits the American people. See, Fetterman said it the best. It is country over party. It should always be that. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, it should always be that way. You put your country first. And when it comes to these elections, I'm not too overly worried about them besides the New York City one. That's the only one that really draws like a red alarm for me because we have a socialist nut job that's going to be running the biggest city within the country. But that will play itself out, and I will talk about his speech within my next episode. But at the end of the day, guys, you got to start understanding how our government functions. And I think we need to start teaching our classes this so people can stop blaming the party in charge. Okay? We want the Republicans to stand up for the American people. We voted for Donald Trump because we're tired of wasteful spending. Okay? He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College because we don't want our money going to woke DEI BS. Okay? And that's what's in the Democrats' $1.5 trillion counter proposal. Okay? Now, if the Democrats came out and said, hey, we just don't want the premiums to double for the American people, I could promise you that the Republicans would throw that within the CR in a heartbeat. Because not one American really wants that for the people. Okay? We don't want that. We don't want our premiums to go up. But they didn't. They snuck it in there as a little tiny part on top of the $1.5 trillion, which is healthcare for illegals. We're talking about money going across seas for DEI, woke policy crap, like wasteful spending. We got to start funding U.S. programs. We got to keep our money within borders. I don't mind helping other people, but if our government can't help us first, and make sure that our lives are more affordable first, then no, we don't want our money being wasted. For far too long, our money's been wasted, and that's why you had this big election in 2024. It's because the Americans had enough. So I really don't think this is going to play too much into like midterms or anything, but both of these Congress members have the right idea. And as I said, if this was a backdoor meeting between Chuck Schumer and other leading Democrats that wanted to break with the party in order to reopen the government, and they were essentially holding them back until after the election, we got to start voting these idiots out of power because they're opening the door for people like Madani to take over en masse. And it's something the United States should never have, is socialism. With that being said, guys, give me your take in the comments down below. Who do you still blame for the government shutdown? Do you understand where I was coming from within this take? Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, hit that like button, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next.